I'm going to start with the truth about money. This may be the most annoying slide I show you all day long because it's just so true. It's this. The bottom line when it comes to money, you have to spend less than you make. You can cut your expenses. You can grow your income. The best approach is to do both. That's it though, right? Like if you want to really dumb down personal finance, you have to spend less than you make. If you grow your income, it's easier. If you cut your expenses and you grow your income, you're unstoppable. So I want to talk about the concept of you, the money machine. And here's what I mean by that. First question is, what does it mean to finish rich? We've shown a lot of compound interest charts today and showing you how money grows. And rich means something to everybody differently. So what I thought we'd do today is sort of like right now is personalize it. So let's drill down on the numbers. Financial planning, personal financial planning is actually personal. So I want you to think about that for a second. Personal financial planning is personal. Whenever I see these things that are the financial service companies put out, and they say things like, $1 million isn't going to be enough to retire. You're going to need 2 or 2.5 or 3 million. First of all, what that makes most people want to do is take a gun and put it towards their head, right? Because I told you earlier that 47% of Americans had how much? $400. So you tell America that they need to have $3 million, and that is a pretty useless thing when the average American's got 400 bucks. So what I tell you is you have to drill down on the numbers and you have to personalize these numbers. When I was at Morgan Stanley and I was a financial advisor, I had clients come into my office and retire on $250,000. Now, how'd they do that? Because your head goes, what? How'd somebody retire on $250,000? Well, again, it's personal, right? So in most cases, believe it or not, they were teachers. They had pension plans. They had health care. They had no overhead. And they don't spend a lot of money. So it's totally relative. And it also depends on where you live. I've seen people retire with $5 million and go through all of it in less than 10 years and have to go back to work. It's personal. It all depends on how you live. So first of all, how do you make it personal? You do this. I would start with what does it cost a month for you to live? If you stopped working tomorrow, how many months of expenses do you have set aside? So if you spend $5,000 a month and you have $50,000, then you've got 10 months of runway, right? Does this make sense? So a lot of it comes down to how many months of runway do you want? So how much money do you desire a month to be financially secure? And what does this look like? Like I desire X years of income to feel financially free. So my experience again, and I'm not talking about retirement. I'm just talking about feeling free. My experience has been that when most people have 2 years of money set aside, they feel free. And the reason is that 2 years of runway allow you to quit a job you hate, leave a relationship you don't want to be in, start your life over fresh. 2 years is a nice long runway. A year, quite frankly, is more than most people often get to have. But I bring this up because I really think that when it comes to living rich, I talked about you can go out 30 years, but you need to zoom in on now. And then I want you to take a look at how many years of income will take for you to feel really rich. So it would feel really rich if I knew I never needed to work again and I had enough income coming in off my investments that I would never need to work again. Now the truth is, most Americans today actually don't desire to stop working. They just desire to reinvent and re-engineer themselves, reinvent, reignite on something new. And so to me, what financial planning needs to change from is this whole concept of retirement to re-engagement and rejuvenate and reinvigorate our lives. Because the truth of the matter is, it almost doesn't make sense anymore to retire in your late 50s, early 60s if you're honestly going to live to be 100. I mean, your life is active, so you may not need to retire early. We're going to talk about turbocharging your income. I want to show you how small amounts of money can change your entire life. So I want to use $500. I've been talking a lot about $10 a day. $500 a month in extra income is a little over $10 a day, right? So $500 extra month in income at 8%. Remember I showed you those funds in earlier lessons that I think you can earn 8 or 9 or 10% annually over time. I showed you how the stock market has averaged 10, 11, 12%. I showed you a boring, incredibly automated mutual fund from Vanguard that has averaged over 9% since it started in 1985. They're not guaranteed returns, but I'm going to use 8%. You make $500 at 8% and you don't need to use it, and you put it in your SEP IRA, your self-employed retirement account, or your solo 401k plan that I covered, and you let that grow for 20 years, that's $296,000. So we talk about catch-up plans. $500 a month can help you catch up. Now someone goes, well, that's not $1 million. Okay, I got it. 25 years though, it's almost $500,000. So my belief is if you're sitting here and you're in 50s, or 55 or 60, it's never too late. Now that's $500 extra a month. What if you had, 30 years, $750,000. So a lot of the economy that we live in today is what's called a entrepreneur economy, where we're all doing a side hustle. The freelance world is where we're moving to. I think eventually most of us will be some form or another self-employed and freelancing. A lot of these businesses can be started on the side. Small amounts of money make a big difference. I just want to go through $1,000 quickly. $1,000 extra a month. In 20 years, it's almost $600,000 at 8%. In 25 years, it's $957,000. In 30 years, it's $1.5 million. One of the things I like to point out for couples is that often two-income households, one of the people in the relationship stops working when they have kids, and 10 years of income stop. And I point out all the time that, you know what, even an extra $1,000 a month that you could earn on the side, that the family doesn't need to use, that you could save, could be the difference between retirement and not retirement. You need to recognize that if you go from a two-income household to a one-income household, you have put yourself in an enormous financial disadvantage. And by the way, that is not a conversation that is easy to have with your spouse, so you can blame me. All right? I wanted to go big and get excited, right? Because some of you guys are just kick-butt entrepreneurs. So you at home, you're the kick-butt entrepreneur, you're doing whatever it is you're doing. $10,000 a month, 8%. You're in real estate, you can catch up all day long, and you have unlimited income, right? So you're in a commission business. Lots of real estate agents follow me. In 20 years, look at these numbers, by the way. You make an extra $10,000 a month and you save it. You literally could build in 20 years a $6 million account. Now, you may not want to work 20 more years, so let's just cut this number in half. You could build $3 million, right? Could you have a 10-year plan and go, you know what, I'm going to go crush it out there, and I'm going to fully fund one of these retirement accounts. I'm not going to pay tax on this money, and I'm going to catch up. Yeah. And if you got clarity on this and purpose, then you can get out of the it's too late for me, and I'll never be able to do this thing. A lot of times this is what you need. I can see the tears forming in your eyes right now. A lot of times this is what you need. You just get like, I can go do this. And if you're really driven and you go, you know what, I'm going to make this happen because you deserve for this to happen. And same thing for a lot of you at home right now. You deserve for this to happen for you. There are 27 million small businesses in the U.S. They create 60 to 80% of all new jobs. Many of you, if you're not self-employed, you will be eventually. Small businesses represent 99%, small businesses, less than 100 employees, represent 99% of all employers. 2/3 of American millionaires are self-employed. Do you need to be self-employed to be a millionaire? No. Everything I've talked about today, based on the Automatic Millionaire book, none of this was about having to be self-employed. This was how do you build wealth on an ordinary income with a job. If you're self-employed and you make good money and you're smart with it, you can be rich faster. That's a simple fact. But anybody who tells you that it's easy to be self-employed is lying to you. Because if you're self-employed, and I'm, again, an entrepreneur here, I work a lot harder being an entrepreneur than I ever could work being an employee. The day doesn't know a lot of times end, right? You're working 24/7. It's always on your mind. So I want to talk about business owners because I love you guys, I feel for you, and I want to tell the truth to you. There are 3 ways to make money in a business. Just 3. You can make money from the business and invest it. You can have the money you invest make you money. You can sell your business. That's it. So now I want to show you what this looks like. I call this the Bach formula to building wealth. Typically in a business that you're self-employed, you have income. And you can take that income and you can save it, right? We've been talking a lot about how you take the income and you save it. Second thing you can do is you can take the income and you can invest it in investments. What did I say was the most important investment you can make when you're self-employed? Real estate. Oh, the real estate. For you to buy, you're going to buy the real estate that you put your business in, rent the real estate back from your business. The third thing you can do is that you can have a sale. You can sell your business. The biggest fantasy, myth, misdirection, mistake that many entrepreneurs make is that they bet everything on the sale. So they're going to build a business and they're going to sell the business. The truth is that most businesses aren't saleable. If you're a small time is not the right word. If you are self-employed, you are a solo entrepreneur, and the business, talking to you at home, requires you to do the work. Do you have a business that can be sold? In most cases, not. By the way, that's most businesses. The other thing is that if it's not a business that's just you and you have employees, most businesses in America sell for somewhere between 1 to 2 times revenue. That can be great if that happens, but it doesn't happen all the time. So those first 2 legs, income and save and investments, are really critical. Again, what I've seen business owners do is they don't even get to have a sale, but because they bought a building 15, 20 years later, they own the building free and clear, and that's where all the equity value is. I recently just had a friend of mine I told the story to. The family just inherited the building that the father bought for his business. This is actually an amazing story. And the building they paid for the business. The business bought the building. He bought the building personally and the business rented it. They bought the building for $225,000. They just sold the building for $7 million. Wow. Right? Father just recently passed away. The kids are inheriting the building. The building's being sold. And now the kids are going to have wealth from that. And the business was ultimately just closed down. But the family had a $7 million valuation on that piece of real estate. Interesting thing is that they bought that property originally from the school system. And who ended up buying it back? The school system. Wow. Now, this took place over a couple decades. Yeah. It's actually like 25 years, but still, yeah. So, perfect world, you'd do all 3 of these. In the first leg, you'd have over here your SEP IRA, your solo 401k plan. Second leg here, you'd buy a building or a condo for your business and you'd rent it back and you'd own the building. And then the third leg is you'd have a sale. But you don't have to have a sale to be wealthy in business. You really don't. So now I want to show you something that your accountant should show you, but they won't. This is how you make this. I'm going to show you the difference between a dumb business. I call it dumb business, poor business. Let's start off with the dumb business, poor business. I apologize. I'm not calling anybody here dumb that does this. I'm just teaching you why it looks dumb. Okay. So this is what people do in the real world. The business makes money, and the beauty of being a business owner is your accountant says to you, you can write off almost everything. So what you should do is you should spend the money, and you should take lots of tax deductions. And I'm all for tax deductions. I am, because I don't like to pay taxes. But if you do this really well, what will happen is at the end of the year, your accountant will say, well, I have great news for you. You owe no taxes. because we ran all your expenses through the business legally, and now you made $300,000, and we ran all the expenses through the business, and you owe no taxes. And you go, man, that's great. He's like, yeah, good job. And what that means is you have no money at the end of the year. So what that really means is there's a technical term for this, and it's called broke. Now, it's funny, right? Except this is what businesses all over America look like. This is also why self-employed people can't get loans, because their business has no profit. So the bank looks at you and goes, well, you've been running a business for 10 years and you haven't made any money. Here's your tax returns. And you're like, yeah, I know, but I really make money. I mean, over here, I spend all that. They're like, whatever, we don't care. So this system, here's what is guaranteed with this system. You will never have a retirement. You will have no assets. When the economy turns down, you're really in trouble because you have no emergency cushion. But the good news is you won't have paid any tax. And I'm being a little facetious there, right? Because in the effort to not pay taxes, you can work 5, 10, 15, 20 years and have absolutely nothing to show for it. Meanwhile, your friend who got a job at a company, and you're like, oh my God, he's got a job. Your friend who got a job has been using his 401k plan, paid himself first, or paid herself first, maxed out his plan. She maxed out her plan. Now she's got $250,000, or he's got $250,000. They've had health care, and they haven't had half the stress that you've had being self-employed, and they have real wealth, and you have none. This system does not work. And I see entrepreneurs with $1 million in revenue, and they have no money. And then the recession hits, and they've got a $200,000 or $300,000 a year overhead. And when the recession hit, they've got credit lines on their business, and then the bank calls the credit line, and the business goes down, and they're upside down, and it's over. Happened to lots of businesses across America. So this is what smart business looks like. Business makes money. Owner pays themselves first. Let's hear that again. What do? Pays themselves first. Yeah, because if you're an owner, you still got to do that. So you use your retirement account, SEP IRA, solo 401k plan, defined benefit plan. You go and get one of those set up. Then you save some money, and the owner buys real estate, and the business rents the real estate back. And then ideally, the business has a liquidity event or a sale, and you have wealth and financial security. Cool, right? People do it all the time.
Why don't our accountants tell us this?
Because, no offense to accountants, but they're accountants. First of all, I've not met too many wealthy accountants. But, you know, the way they get patted on the back, and now the accountants are going to come out after me, but like they're not in the wealth creation business. They're in the avoid tax business. Now, there's a whole key to avoiding tax to build wealth. Like earlier when I talked about 1031 exchanges on investment properties, that's a legal great way to avoid taxes. There are things that you can do when you buy real estate to depreciate the real estate. There are things that you can do to write things off that you should write things off. But if the entire strategy for the average small business owner, like we're not talking about Trump here, the average small business owner, if you have no profit at the end of the year, chances are then you have no money left over. So like real estate, I see it all the time. Yeah, no, real estate agents, they don't have a SEP IRA, they run all their expenses through their business, they drive up to my office in a beautiful Mercedes-Benz, they got the gold Rolex on, they got $2,000 worth of clothes, and they have no assets. True?
Yeah, I asked him about that, or if I needed to do an LLC, and he keeps saying, no, not yet.
Okay, well, he's fundamentally wrong. I'm going to get to that in a second.
I guess I need to change accountants.
Yeah, you need to change accountants. So, in fact, I'm going to skip right to this. Learn from my experience and set you up from day one. What did I tell my wife to do before she got her job at Corcoran? And what's the first thing I told her to do? Honey, you need an LLC. What's an LLC? Here, let me show you. So here's your business in a box. You need to have, first of all, corporate structure. So I went online, bizfiling.com. Here's the name of your LLC. Now she has a tax ID number. Now she has an LLC. Now, honey, you need to go down to the bank and you need to get yourself a bank account for your new company. and now you need to get a credit card for your new company. She's like, what new company? I haven't even started working yet. I'm like, this is how you start your business the correct way. By the way, you have to build it before it comes. And she's killing it now in real estate. So all this is set up. She's like, how am I going to get a corporate credit card? I'm like, you're going to go online right now. And trust me, when you Google business credit cards and you put your information in, you're going to get a credit card. She's like, how? Like, just do it. She does it. She's like, I can't believe it. They approved me just like that. Of course they did. They pulled your tax ID number and they saw that you have credit. Like, it's not that hard. And I'm like, now when you, like, and I say to her, like, when you go out with your clients, make sure you use the business credit card. So banking relationship, go meet with a bank, have a business relationship. I got business phone and website, email, etc. It takes very little to be in business today be in business. Like, you can be in business for nothing, right? Like, I started my business with $500 on a kitchen table. I got to $1 million in revenue with my business. I didn't even have business cards. Now, it didn't happen overnight, but 3 years later, I had $1 million business, and I didn't even have a business card. I had a website. I had a couple books out, but I never had business cards, didn't have letterhead. A lot of times I see people go out and they spend all this money to get all this stuff. The good thing today is everything's cheap now, right? But like, get these fancy brochures and all this stuff, and they don't even have a business. Go make the money, then worry about the stuff that looks cool. You need to have a business dream team. So let's talk about the people that should be on your team. Corporate attorney. In the old days, you need a corporate attorney to set up the LLC. You really don't now. You can do it online. But if you're going to build a more established business, if it's a C Corp, you probably should hire an attorney. S Corps, most people don't do S Corps. They're doing LLCs. The accountant's really critical. You need an accountant, I think, day one. I think that you probably need to consider replacing your accountant. Sorry to your accountant. But I will say this, as your businesses grow, often you have to upgrade your talent. I've gone through 4 accountants in the last 20 years. Because you reach a point where you learn more and you're doing more, and then you're like, wait a minute, I need to go see if there's another person who can help me better. I had my wife immediately work with my accountant, and then immediately I'm like, now you need a bookkeeper. Just a bookkeeper. I haven't even earned a commission yet. I haven't even gone to the office. What do I need a bookkeeper for? I'm like, because in the next 30 days, you're going to start having expenses. And then when you make your first commissions, you're going to need all of this tracked. Bookkeepers are cheap today, too. You need often help because you can't do this yourself. You can run a business today with virtual assistants. I've run a business many, many years with no staff. Staff, but virtual. So these are 2 companies I've used, AssistU.com, GetLeverage.com. I use GetLeverage right now. These guys, when I have overflow work, I send it to GetLeverage. This is run by a buddy of mine, Ari Mizel. In fact, I think he taught a class here. He did, right? Let's Doing. I pushed him to write that book. And we were talking. He's like, you should talk to Create It Live. They do a great job. So, again, you don't need to have a lot of money to be in business. You just need to have the desire to be in business. But you do need help. You can't always do it yourself. And that takes me to the fastest way to make more money in your business. There's usually 3 ways to make money in a business. 1, get more clients, get more customers. 2, sell more to those existing customers, right? 3, raise your prices. All 3 combined, it's like unstoppable. But those were the 3. Find more clients, do more business with existing clients, and raise your prices. Those pillars, there's more pillars than that, but those fundamental pillars, I think the first time I learned that was from a marketing genius named Jay Abraham. And the one that I really drilled in on was raise your prices. So the fastest way to make more money in any business, like all that stuff where I was like, you could use $500 a month or $1,000 a month. You show me a typical business that raises their prices and boom, they just found $500 a month or $1,000 a month. Or in some cases, it's $10,000 a month. So how do you raise your prices? You just do. So I'm going to walk through the Dry Cleaner Millionaire. This is a true story. based on a dry cleaner in the marina in San Francisco, my old dry cleaner. So I had this dry cleaner. I love this guy. I should go by and see if he's still there. So I love this guy because you know why I loved him? First thing about this dry cleaners is they didn't lose my clothes. It's amazing that that's a remarkable thing, but in the dry cleaning business, I find that to be huge. 2, they did a good job on my clothes. And 3, every time I showed up, they knew who I was. By the second time I was there, it's like, cheers. Hi, David. Which is funny because Dale Carnegie always said that the favorite word in the English language is a person's name. So here I am, and the guy knows my name, and I was always impressed. So he was always there, and his family was involved in the business. And I got to know him, and I knew that they did very well at this dry cleaners. Most dry cleaners do very well. Most dry cleaners do really well. It's a beautiful business. It's recession-proof. Once you start going, you never stop going. And this guy took his money, and guess what he invested in? Real estate. So he owned all kinds of buildings all over the place. And what he would do, I didn't realize this right away, is when I started going to him, the cost to do it, this tells you how long ago this was. The cost to dry clean a shirt was $1.10. So like 6 months later, the cost to dry clean my shirt was $1.15. Okay, do you think I moved? No, why? Why didn't I move? I didn't even notice it, right? It's like a nickel. Then I started noticing he does it every 6 months. I really didn't notice it though right away. So then he went to $1.21. Then he went to $1.27. All he's doing is raising his prices 5% every 6 months. Again, $1.34. When did I actually notice it? You want to know when I noticed it? Right here, $1.52. Because all of a sudden I'm like, God, you know what? When I started here, weren't the shirts like $1? And now they're like $1.50. And he's like, in 3 years, a dry cleaner is charging me 38% more. And I didn't move. And I never moved until I actually physically moved to New York. And you know what? People just don't pick up and leave for 5%. And then I realized our landscaper was doing the same thing. and so like some people have systematically in their businesses set up to increase their price by 5%, and they're doing it to you every 6 months to a year. You're not leaving because you're loyal. You go home tomorrow and you raise your price by 5%, and if you don't suck at what you do, they're not leaving. And then you just found 5% that drops to the bottom line that pays for your pay yourself first account. And then you do it again in 6 months and you raise it 5%. Now you've just increased the profitability of your business by 10%. And it changes the entire business. That's so simple that most people won't do it. But what was this class all about? Action. What's the biggest thing that can go wrong if you do this? All of a sudden, people pick up and leave en masse. Well, then you would know you have a problem. I've taught this to financial service companies, believe it or not. And I know one financial service company that was charging 1%, and they saw me do this talk, something to a certain extent, and they raised their fees to 1.25%. And so literally they increased the cost of their money management by 25%. And 85% of their clients stayed, and their profitability went up by 33%. I think that was the math. And they started paying their employees more, and they decided, like, you know what, those other people did fine, they left. But 85% of our clients stayed, they appreciate us, and business runs better. So very simple technique. Which takes me to the 6 biggest mistakes investors make. Before I go to that, let's take any quick questions on this.
We had one question that came up from Aaron, who's watching online. They were curious about affordable health insurance for people who are setting up their own businesses and getting that set up. I know this isn't a health insurance class at all, but any guidance you could give on when's a good time to set that up?
It's all good. Trump's going to take care of it.
Yeah, all right, of course. Let's not worry about it.
If there's affordable health care in America, someone call and tell me where it is.
Yeah.
MediShare. I don't know. I heard it. I went on it. It's
Are you using it?
Yeah.
Did you get it through the network?
$233 a month.
There you go. MediShare, $233 a month. Know nothing about them.
It's a sharing system.
It's a sharing system.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, I just had to get a new plan for my family, and we're at $1,950 a month.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I could go on a 2-hour tirade on healthcare.
Yeah.
We have to fix healthcare in America, and I've never heard of healthcare that inexpensive, but yeah.
Great. That's good.
I have a question regarding the freelance stuff, of course, from me. Is you were talking about the accounting and breaking it down to have an accountant, a bookkeeper, personal assistant and stuff. In my business, you know how my concern is doing all my stuff automatic. Would the bookkeeper be doing that?
The bookkeeper can definitely assist. You have to direct the bookkeeper. But the
that would
bookkeeper
be
could
so I don't see
absolutely
it.
assist you.
Right.
If you have a good bookkeeper, they can assist you with that process, making it automatic. Don't have the bookkeeper, though, write your checks.
Right.
I'm going to go through. It happens to be one of the biggest mistakes people make is they let somebody else sign their checks.